Rose Dawson was a fictional character in the film Titanic. She was portrayed by actress Kate Winslet. She was traveling on the ill-fated ocean liner along with her mother, Ruth, and her fiancé, Cal, when the ship sank on April 15, 1912. Rose was a first-class passenger on the Titanic, which means that she was a wealthy woman. She was a 17-year-old in 1912, so that would make her 97 years old in 2009. Rose's age provided much of the dynamic of her relationship with Jack Dawson, the character portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio. Her age was important as it meant that she was young and inexperienced. At the time of the sinking, Rose Dawson was 17 years old. She was an upper-class female from a wealthy family, as implied by her tickets for first-class accommodations. As outlined in the Titanic movie, Rose was born in 1895 and decided to get on board the Titanic when her mother booked 2 tickets. To the shock of many, this placed Rose roughly 17 years of age during the events of the sinking of the Titanic. Rose was born in 1895, and was 17 years old at the time of the sinking. She was portrayed by actress Kate Winslet and was the leading female protagonist in the movie. Rose was a high society woman from a family of high social standing and wealth. She was the daughter of Ruth and Caledon Hockley and their only child. Rose was seen to be a brave and determined woman, willing to risk her own life for the protection of those she loved. Despite her young age, she still managed to prove her courage, and she was a very important figure on board the ship. Rose was born in 1895 and was 17 years old when the fateful ship sunk in April 1912. Her bravery and courage were some of the integral traits that helped her survive the devastating event. Rose was seen to be quite different from the other passengers on board the Titanic, as her naivete about life and the world around her were quite evident. Despite being a wealthy woman, she still had a lot to learn and discover. Rose was also young and beautiful, and she found herself quite attractive to Jack Dawson, the main male protagonist. It was clear to many that these two had an attraction to each other, which was fueled by Rose's youth and innocence. Rose was a young 17-year-old when the Titanic sank. She was portrayed by Kate Winslet in the movie and was the object of affection of Jack Dawson. Rose was a central figure in the movie due to her courage and determination, as she was willing to risk her own life to protect those she loved. Furthermore, she became a symbol of youth and innocence amongst the passengers. Rose was born in 1895, which meant that she was 17 years old during the events of the sinking of the Titanic. This provided an interesting dynamic when it came to her relationship with Jack, as Rose was still young and ignorant. Despite her young age, Rose still had a clear idea of what she wanted out of life, and becoming a victim of fate was never an option for her. She was brave, determined, and always willing to take risks. Rose was an only child born to Ruth and Caledon Hockley, a wealthy couple from high society. Her upbringing undoubtedly influenced her worldview and allowed her to sympathize and understand those of lesser social status. Rose was portrayed by Kate Winslet in the film Titanic and remains one of the most iconic characters. She was a young and brave woman willing to risk her life for those she loved. Rose became a symbol of innocence and hope in the movie due to her age and her determination. Despite the fact that she came from a privileged background, her perspective of life was unlike that of other passengers. Rose was 17 years old at the time of the sinking of the Titanic, and she was portrayed by Kate Winslet in the movie. Her bravery could be felt throughout the entire movie, and her courage became an inspiration for many. Rose was a first-class passenger on the Titanic, which suggested that she was from a wealthy family. At the same time, her age of 17 years old meant that she was young and inexperienced. Rose's age provided much of the dynamic of her relationship with Jack, as she was still too young and naive to understand what was really going on. Nevertheless, her bravery and determination made her an essential character of the film. Rose was born in the year 1895 and was on board the Titanic when her mother booked 2 tickets, making her 17 years old during the events of the sinking of the Titanic. Rose was determined to survive the tragic event, and she used her youthful energy and sea courage to fight against the odds. She was not afraid to take risks, and her determination gave her the strength to continue. Rose's age was important, as 17 years old meant that she was still a child in terms of life experience, but still old enough to understand the consequences of her actions. When the Titanic set sail, Rose was a 17-year-old girl who was determined to make the most of her life despite the fact that she was born into a privileged family. She was brave, young, and full of hope.